Hello everyone, my name is Jinjos and welcome to my playthrough of Bageltop's Marvel Legendary campaign. Today we're going to be taking on mission number 11 of chapter 4 in the campaign, where we are running errands with Peter Parker and trying to get his life a little more organized. Last episode we took on Kingpin at the Daily Bugle, rescuing J. Jonah Jameson, and we are now on to our next task with Peter Parker in tow. Let's jump right in. The time is 12 p.m. Looking at our list of things to do, we successfully went to work, and I would say the next urgent thing on our list is picking up Aunt May's heart medication, so we head out. Peter says this is going to be the easiest thing I do all day. Wait right here. As he comes back into view, swinging on his webs, when suddenly his webbing rips. He reaches out to a flagpole, but somehow his normally sticky fingers just can't grab onto it. He ends up flailing in midair, bouncing off the cloth awning over a hotel's entrance, and lands unceremoniously on the ground. Spidey looks up. The heart meds hanging in midair from the flagpole above him. A woman wearing a black spandex suit with white gloves and boots leaps up and grabs the bag of heart medicine. She lands with cat-like grace next to Peter, her white hair blowing perfectly in the wind as she looks over at him sprawled out on the concrete. "Hey, you dropped this," she says as she dangles the bag in front of his face. Peter answers her, "Thanks, I've never considered my lucky, but that was bad even for me." He reaches for the bag, but the girl in the catsuit quickly pulls it out of his reach. "Not so fast. First you'll have to catch me." She leaps up, bouncing off the cloth awning, then a windowsill, and up onto a neighboring building, and then begins to run along the rooftops. Spider-Man races after her. Finally, Spider-Man corners her in an abandoned warehouse. "Okay, Spidey, we can talk here. I hope he didn't follow us." "Oh, him? That's just Agent Harrison. Don't worry about it." Black Cat cuts him off. "Not him. The Massacre." Who's the Massacre? They're a group trying to create something bad. Sinister's running the whole thing. I helped him steal some vials of this weird black stuff. Said something about using it along with a sample of your blood to make some ultimate creation. Spider-Man takes a step back. "Okay, slow down. This is a lot to dig in. Why exactly did you help him?" Black Cat slowly slinks closer to him. "Because I'm working for him. Sinister caught me on video stealing from him, and he told me he was going to give the tape to the police if I didn't help him." Okay. I deal with crazy on a regular basis, but this is somehow crazier than anything I've ever seen. Black Cat grabs Spider-Man's hand. "You've got to trust me. We have to get going now. I know exactly where the security room is in the basement of that building over there. We'll be in and out real quick. Let's go." Arriving at the building, Black Cat leads you down the alley to the side. You and Peter follow her in. Peter peers around in the darkness as he walks down the hallway. "So let me get this straight. You're the master thief here? So why exactly did you need me to come with you anyway?" A voice from within the room says, "Because it's a trap, Spider-Man. Here's your worthless tape, Black Cat. You did well bringing Spider-Man to me." Black Cat turns away. "I'm sorry, Peter. I had to. You understand how these things go." Suddenly, the black light flicks on. You see Stryfe stand in the middle of the room next to a strange device. The villain yells, "You may go, Cat. I want Spider-Man to be the first to see this." He gestures towards the large ring-shaped device. This portal through the negative zone to a prison deep into the future will allow those who are imprisoned to escape, and they shall exact their revenge on this world, starting with you, Spider-Man. Black Cat interjects, "Wait, you never said you were going to hurt him. You just told me to bring—" "Silence," the villain says. "If you wish to die by his side, I shall not deny you the pleasure." "This time will stop you for good," shouts Spider-Man. "Many have tried, all have failed," alleges the villain, "but this time it is not just with me, but with them." With that, he flips a switch, and the device begins to hum to life. We add Black Cat to the team, replacing Nick Fury. Looks like we'll be taking on Stryfe for this mission. Looking over our team, we decide to go for strength rather than scale, but leaving Iron Man and Iceman behind, making our team consist of Colossus, Cyclops, Spider-Man, Hulk, and Black Cat. Before we get into the gameplay, let's go over our strategy to win. Our first archetype is going to revolve around strength-based heroes. We will start with Hulk's common card, Growing Anger, which will grant us 2 attack, and when activated by a strength hero, will give us an additional attack. This will pair well with Draw Their Fire, which grants us 3 attack, but we will gain a wound when played. We counteract that wound with Invulnerability, which will either grant us 2 recruit, or we can discard it to prevent a wound and draw 2 cards. Hulk also provides a way to counter wounds with Unstoppable Hulk, which will grant us 2 attack, and we can KO a wound from our hand or discard pile and gain another 2 attack. Cyclops will provide another strength card with Determination, which grants 3 recruit, but we have to discard a card to play it. Our second archetype is one we will see often in this series of games in Chapter 4, which revolves around Spider-Man. We will start out with Astonishing Strength, which grants 1 attack, but we reveal the top card of our deck. If it costs 2 or less, we draw it. This card can also dip into the Strength archetype to provide an activation for Growing Anger, but I don't see that happening. Our next card is Pickpocket, which has a wall crawl, meaning when we recruit it, it goes to the top of our deck rather than the discard. When played, we reveal the top card of a player's deck, and we gain attack equal to that card's portrayed recruit and attack values. With this card costing 1, it can be drawn by Astonishing Strength, or our next card, Great Responsibility, which is the same as Strength, but provides 1 recruit instead. Our next couple cards are a bit more flexible in where they go, with Optic Blast, which provides 3 attack, but we have to discard a card to play. Unending Energy, which gives us 4 attack, but when we discard it, it goes back into our hand, a good way to negate the negative effects of Cyclops' other cards. Next we have Jinx, which gives us 3 attack, and we reveal the top card of each player's deck, and we can discard them if we want to. This has some slight synergy with Spider-Man's cards, but it can go in either. Rounding out the common cards, we have Casual Bank Robbery, which gives us 2 recruit, has Wall Crawl, and we get an additional 1 recruit, but it can only be used on the hero in the HQ slot below the bank. Moving into the relevant uncommon cards, we have Crazed Rampage, which provides 4 attack, but we gain a wound. Kind of a sad card when compared to Draw Their Fire, though. Silent Statue, which gives us 4 attack, and an additional 2 when activated by a Strength hero. To our other archetype, we have a Web Shooter, which rescues a bystander and has the same effect as the other 2 Spider-Man cards. And I usually don't bring up rare cards, but the Amazing Spider-Man works so incredible in this archetype and costs so low that it's worth mentioning. It provides no stats, but it does reveal the top 3 cards of our deck, and we draw all cards that cost 2 or less, and it often will draw us 3 cards. Moving into game setup, we are taking on the Negative Zone Prison Breakout, which we will add a twist to the villain deck, and we will be adding a second Henchman group to the villain deck. When we draw a twist, we will play the top 2 cards of the villain deck. Once 12 villains escape, evil will win. The Mastermind we will be facing is Stryfe, and when a Master Strike is drawn, each player will have to reveal an X-Force card, or discard a card at random. His HP also increases by 1 for each Master Strike drawn. Stryfe will be aided by the Subterraneans and Sinister Six villain group. For Henchmen, he will be aided by the Phalanx and the Doombo Legion. All these villains and Henchmen were based on the campaign guide. Our starting HQ consists of Crazed Rampage, Casual Bank Robbery, Silent Statue, another Casual Bank Robbery, and Draw Their Fire. Miles wins the hot dog throwing contest and starts us off. Miles draws 3 agents, 3 troopers, and then Green Goblin from the villain deck. When he comes into play, he captures a bystander. He plays out and recruits the only card he can, Draw Their Fire, replacing it with Hulk Smash. Hulk's rare card, which grants 5 attack, and when activated by a Strength hero, gives another 5 attack. He passes. Harrison draws 4 agents, 2 troopers, and then a Phalanx from the villain deck, which when fought, will cause us to KO a hero with an attack icon, unless we reveal a tech hero. He plays out and recruits Casual Bank Robbery, placing it on top of his deck and replacing it with Growing Anger. He passes. Miles draws 5 agents, 1 trooper, and then another Green Goblin from the villain deck, which will capture a bystander. He plays out, and wanting to spend all his recruit and possibly pull some cheaper hero cards, recruits Crazed Rampage, replacing it with Astonishing Strength. He passes. Harrison draws 3 agents, 2 troopers, Casual Bank Robbery, and then a Master Strike from the villain deck. Neither can reveal, so Harrison discards a trooper. He plays out, and recruits another copy of Casual Bank Robbery, placing it on top of his deck, and replacing it with Astonishing Strength. He recruits Strength that's under the bank to shoot for a more expensive card, and replaces it with Growing Anger. He passes. Miles draws 3 agents, 2 troopers, and then a Phalanx from the villain deck. He plays out and recruits Growing Anger from under the bank to try and get a card that Harrison would want. He replaces it with Astonishing Strength. He passes. Harrison draws 4 agents, 2 troopers, Casual Bank Robbery, and then a Scheme Twist from the villain deck, which will have us play 2 more villain cards. The first is another Phalanx, and the second is another Phalanx. This will cause Green Goblin to escape, along with carrying off a bystander. Harrison KOs Astonishing Strength, and replaces it with Unstoppable Hulk, though kind of a dick move, as he could have done the one under the bridge. We discard a trooper due to the bystander being carried off. He plays out, and recruits Astonishing Strength, replacing it with Unending Energy. He also recruits Growing Anger, as he needs some more damage cards. It's replaced by Optic Blast. He passes. Miles draws 4 agents, Crazed Rampage, and then another Phalanx from the villain deck, which will also cause one to escape. Miles KOs Silent Statue, feeling he isn't going to recruit it anytime soon, and replaces it with the Amazing Spider-Man. He plays out his agents and recruits Unstoppable Hulk to KO the wounds he will be getting, and replaces it with Draw Their Fire. He decides to not use his Crazed Rampage, as it is the only card in his hand with an attack icon, and the Phalanx will cause him to KO it. He passes. Harrison draws 5 agents, a trooper, and then a Minotaur from the villain deck, which will capture 2 bystanders, and has the burrow mechanic, which means when we fight him, he will move to the streets if it's empty, or be discarded if there is already a villain there. This will cause Green Goblin to escape and carry off a bystander. Harrison KOs Unending Energy and replaces it with Unstoppable Hulk, and discarding a trooper. He plays out and recruits the Amazing Spider-Man, replacing it with Invulnerability. He also recruits Optic Blast, which is replaced by another copy of Invulnerability. For all these strength heroes being recruited and put into play, not a whole lot of attack going on. He passes. Miles draws an agent, 2 troopers, Unstoppable Hulk, Crazed Rampage, and then a Giganto from the villain deck. It has Burrow, and when it is fought, we will draw 8 cards on our next opening hand. A Phalanx escapes, and it's not looking good for our heroes. Miles KOs Invulnerability as he feels there is enough cards available to KO wounds. He plays out, using the Unstoppable Hulk to KO the wound gained by Crazed Rampage. He recruits Draw Their Fire, replacing it with Pickpocket. Not wanting more bystanders to escape, he fights the Minotaur, rescuing 2 standard bystanders. He also fights a Phalanx, KOing a trooper. He passes. Harrison draws an agent, 2 troopers, Astonishing Strength, Casual Bank Robbery, Growing Anger, and then a Phalanx from the villain deck. He plays an agent and recruits Pickpocket onto the bank, which he places on top of his deck, replacing it with Silent Statue. He plays Strength to draw the Pickpocket. He plays Pickpocket and reveals the top of Miles' deck, which turns out to be a wound. He plays out and takes out the Phalanx in the sewers, KOing a trooper. Not wanting to take invulnerability away from Miles, he passes. Miles draws 3 agents, 2 troopers, Growing Anger, and then a bystander from the villain deck, which Giganto captures. He plays out and recruits Invulnerability, replacing it with Determination. He fights the Phalanx under the bridge as he wants to take out Giganto by leaving the Phalanx in the streets. He passes. Harrison draws 3 agents, a trooper, the Amazing Spider-Man, Optic Blast, and then a Doombot from the villain deck, which when we fight, we will reveal 2 cards from the top of our deck and KO one of them. He plays the Amazing Spider-Man, revealing and drawing 3 agents. He plays out, discarding a trooper for Optic Blast. He takes out the Doombot, revealing an agent and a trooper, KOing the agent. He then recruits Jinx, replacing it with Web Shooter. He passes. Miles draws 2 agents, a trooper, Invulnerability, Draw Their Fire, a wound, and then Venom from the villain deck. We can't fight him unless we reveal a covert hero, and when he escapes, each player will gain a wound. He plays Draw Their Fire into Invulnerability, KOing the wound he would gain, and drawing 2 agents. He plays out and takes out the Phalanx in the streets, KOing a trooper. He then recruits Unstoppable Hulk, replacing it with Optic Blast. He passes. Harrison draws 2 agents, 1 trooper, Casual Bank Robbery, Astonishing Strength, Jinx, and Amazing Spider-Man, and then a Raktar the Mullen King from the villain deck. He has Burrow, and when he enters, any villain in the sewers will be pushed to the bridge. He plays Jinx, revealing an agent off of both decks. He discards his own, but keeps the one for Miles. He plays Astonishing Strength, drawing the agent. He plays Amazing Spider-Man, revealing an Optic Blast, and revealing and drawing an agent and a trooper. He plays out and reveals Casual Bank Robbery to take out Venom. He then recruits Silent Statue, replacing it with Web Shooter. He passes. Miles draws 3 agents, a trooper, Unstoppable Hulk, Growing Anger, and then a Doombot from the villain deck. He plays out and KOs a wound from discard. He recruits Determination, replacing it with Pickpocket. He recruits Pickpocket, seemingly out of spite, and replaces it with another copy of Pickpocket, feeling as if he did nothing wrong. He fights Giganto, which will burrow to the streets, but he rescues a standard bystander. He passes. Harrison draws 3 agents, Casual Bank Robbery, Pickpocket, Optic Blast, and then a Master Strike from the villain deck. Harrison can't reveal, so he discards an agent. He plays Pickpocket, revealing an agent from the top of Miles' deck. He plays out, discarding an agent from Optic Blast. He takes out Raktar. He recruits Pickpocket and Web Shooter, replacing them with Unending Energy and Determination. He passes. Miles draws 3 agents, Crazed Rampage, Draw Their Fire, Determination, Unstoppable Hulk, Pickpocket, and then a Master Strike from the villain deck. Harrison can't reveal, so he will discard a card. Miles plays Pickpocket, revealing an agent from the top of Harrison's deck. He plays out, discarding an agent for Determination. He will gain 2 wounds from Crazed Rampage and Draw Their Fire. He will KO one of them with Unstoppable Hulk. He fights Stryfe for the first tactic, drawing Furious Wrath, which will cause us to reveal the top 6 cards of the villain deck, playing all Master Strikes and placing the rest on the top of the deck in a random order. We reveal 2 Scheme Twists, a Bystander, Venom, Raktar, and a Doombot. He recruits Determination and Optic Blast, replacing with Optic Blast and Jinx. He passes. Harrison draws an agent, 2 troopers, Growing Anger, Astonishing Strength, and then a Scheme Twist from the villain deck. He then draws Venom and a Doombot. He plays Strength, revealing Optic Blast. He plays out and recruits Web Shooter, replacing it with Responsibility. He takes out the Doombot in the sewers, revealing Optic Blast and an agent, KOing the agent. He passes. Miles draws 5 agents, a Trooper, Unstoppable Hulk, and then a Bystander from the villain deck, which is captured by Venom. He plays out and KOs a wound from discard. He recruits Optic Blast, needed to pump up his damage, and replaces it with Strength. He takes out the Doombot, revealing an agent and Invulnerability, KOing the agent. He passes. Harrison draws an agent, a Trooper, Strength, Web Shooter, Casual Bank Robbery, Optic Blast, and then a Raktar from the villain deck, which will push Giganto to the bridge. He plays Strength, revealing and drawing an agent. He plays Web Shooter, rescuing a standard bystander, and then revealing and drawing Amazing Spider-Man. He plays that, revealing Jinx, and drawing an agent, and Pickpocket. He plays Pickpocket, revealing Jinx from the top of his deck, gaining 3 attack. He plays out and decides to go all in on the Spider-Man by recruiting Strength and Responsibility, replacing them with Web Shooter and Growing Anger. He recruits Web Shooter, replacing it with Draw Their Fire. He fights Giganto, meaning he will draw off 8 cards next turn, and it burrows to the streets, trying to abuse that fight effect. He passes. Miles draws an agent, Invulnerability, Growing Anger, Draw Their Fire, Unstoppable Hulk, Optic Blast, and then a Scheme Twist from the villain deck. He draws a Master Strike and both reveal an X-Force hero. He then draws Minotaur, which captures 2 bystanders. He plays Draw Their Fire into Invulnerability, drawing 2 agents. He plays out, discarding an agent for Optic Blast. He recruits Draw Their Fire, replacing it with Invulnerability. Even though the city is getting close to full, he fights Stryfe for the second tactic, drawing Tide of Retribution, but both players can reveal. He passes. Harrison draws a sad hand of 4 agents, a Trooper, Jinx, Silent Statue, Casual Bank Robbery, and then a Moloid from the villain deck, which has Burrow, and we will KO a hero when we fight it. He plays Jinx, revealing a Trooper from the top of both decks, discarding both. He plays out and takes out Raktar and the Moloid King, KOing an agent. He recruits Jinx, replacing it with Casual Bank Robbery. He passes. Miles draws 3 agents, Pickpocket, Draw Their Fire, Crazed Rampage, and then a Doombot from the villain deck. He plays Pickpocket, revealing Determination from the top of his deck, gaining 3 attack. He plays 3 agents and recruits Invulnerability, replacing it with an Unending Energy. He fights the Doombot, revealing an Optic Blast and a Determination, KOing Determination. He decides to take the wounds and plays Draw Their Fire and Crazed Rampage, gaining 2 wounds. He takes out Giganto to draw the extra cards. He passes. Harrison draws 2 agents, 2 strengths, 2 pickpockets, and then a Scheme Twist from the villain deck. He puts into play the Lizard, which when fought in the sewers, each player will gain a wound. He then draws another Scheme Twist, which will bring another Giganto in, and another Lizard. He plays Pickpocket, revealing Draw Their Fire from Miles' deck. He plays another Pickpocket, repeating. He plays 2 Astonishing Strengths, revealing a Casual Bank both times. He plays out and takes out both Lizards, gaining a wound. Wanting to up his damage, he recruits Growing Anger, replacing it with Optic Blast. He passes. Harrison draws 3 agents, Determination, Invulnerability, Optic Blast, Unstoppable Hulk, Draw Their Fire, and then a Doombot from the villain deck. He plays Draw Their Fire and Invulnerability, drawing an agent and a Trooper. He plays out, discarding 2 agents to Cyclops, and KOs a wound from discard. He fights Stryfe for the 3rd time, drawing Psychic Torment, which will have us look at the top 6 cards of our deck, drawing 1 and discarding the rest. We draw an Unstoppable Hulk and play it, KOing a wound from discard. He fights a Doombot, revealing an agent and Optic Blast, KOing an agent. He recruits Optic Blast, replacing it with Unstoppable Hulk. He passes. Harrison draws Casual Bank Robbery, Strength, Responsibility, Web Shooter, Growing Anger, the Amazing Spider-Man, and a Phalanx from the villain deck. He plays Strength, revealing and drawing a Trooper. He plays Responsibility, revealing and drawing Web Shooter. He plays 2 Web Shooters, rescuing a Paramedic, but there is no wounds in discard piles. He reveals an Optic Blast both times. He plays the Amazing Spider-Man, drawing Strength and revealing Optic Blast and Jinx. He plays out, and through all that hard work, he looks at what he gains and is very sad. He fights Venom, rescuing the standard bystander. He recruits Casual Bank Robbery for no strong reason, and replaces it with another one. He passes. Miles draws 2 agents, a Trooper, Optic Blast, Growing Anger, Pickpocket, and then a Moloid from the villain deck. He plays Pickpocket, revealing Draw Their Fire from his deck. He plays out, and takes out Giganto to get more card draw. He passes. Harrison draws an agent, 2 Jinxes, Growing Anger, Astonishing Strength, Optic Blast, and then a Dr. Octopus from the villain deck. Looking over his cards, he plays out triumphantly, skipping the abilities to fight Stryfe for the 4th and final time, winning the game. As the battle is won, the negative zone portal is destroyed, and those few who did make it out have been rounded up. As he is being hauled away, the villain yells out, "This defeat matters not. It's only a minor setback. You shall watch carnage come to all you care for. The city will be painted red with your blood. Mark my words." If what he says is true, you think you might need some backup. You quickly gather your things and head to your next destination. Advance the time by 2 hours. You easily make it back to Aunt May's house and drop off the medication. Peter seems extremely relieved that he was able to make this delivery. Write down, Aunt May has her medication. Thank you so much for joining me for another game in Bageltop's Marvel Legendary campaign. Join me next time for another adventure with Spider-Man as we dive deeper into Chapter 4. I'll see you next time, and I hope you have a wonderful day.